The following tutorial is one of a series in how to use Python scripting language with ArcGIS. We will eventually discuss the ArcPy module, which is what's actually going to let you integrate your Python scripting skills into the ArcGIS platform. But until we get to that point, I wanted to go over just some basic syntax and structure of Python language so that you're more prepared and versatile when you start using it in ArcGIS. As a kind of a caveat I offer before each of these videos, I am not a programmer or coder by trade. I learned Python language within the context of ArcGIS and then explored a little bit beyond so that I could build my skills a little bit deeper. Therefore, the structure of these videos is very much going to be geared towards beginners and people who are just trying to be a little bit more conversational and use this language within ArcGIS rather than a really deep dive into programming language and structure and such. So this video we're going to talk a little bit further about functions. And if you remember the previous video, we reviewed the concept of functions and methods, sort of like verbs that allow you to do some action on an object that you can call on an object. And we reviewed some of the main ones for strings and lists. This video is going to be quick, and really it's just going to cover what if you wanted to actually define your own function, that would do something. And so we're going to do it with an example right here. I'm going to call it childhood taunt. So anytime you want to define a function, you'll always begin by typing def. All right, so whenever you type def and then a space, it means you're defining something that you're going to be able to call later. All right, and I'm going to define something that I call childhood taunt. Now, within this area here, you can actually have things that you'll pass through later, variables or text strings, or things that you're going to call later in the function, right? Like first thing I'm going to call, second thing I'm going to call, third thing I'm going to call, and then within the syntax of the script, you could later call an X and call a Y and call a Z. Right now, we're going to start very simple though and just say nothing, but make sure even if you're not calling anything on it, still needs to have open and close parentheses, and then end it with a colon. And once you do that, you're going to see, one of the things that really makes Python great in my eyes here is, or at least when you're doing it in a GUI context here, is it automatically indents for you. And so this will let you know that anything that's going to happen under here is essentially subservient, to the definition. So really, all that's going on under here is we're defining what should occur when we type in childhood taunt, right? And so it'll still run in the same sequence that a normal Python script would be, except that it's all contained within this function that we call later. So the first thing I think we're going to do is we're going to set a variable. It's going to be set behind the scenes, and this variable is going to be set to something that a user is going to input. And so remember, we've introduced this a couple times here. Raw input returns to you a string value based on some prompt. And the prompt is going to be, enter an insult. Enter your favorite insult. Right, so we have something that's saved as taunt. In a weird way, we actually didn't even need to save it as taunt. I could have it if I wanted to. But really, all this script is going to do is something simple. We're just going to return a value. Which is when you return something within a script. It essentially has the same meaning as print in a sense. So print would work too, but we'll use return for this. We will simply return, I know you are, or what am I? Right, easy as pie. Right, so all you have to do with this is you simply call it. And when you call it, everything that we meant to run under here is going to start. We're going to enter our childhood insert, and we're going to say, you are smelly. And it will say, I know you are, but what am I? Right? And so that's the whole purpose of a function right there, is that you create some phrase that can have a certain input here, right? And then what returns to you at the end here is, in this instance, I know you are, but what am I? But I mean, your definitions could get much, much deeper. And as we go through some future videos, you'll start to see me making a little bit more complex functions that we can call at various times. But this, I just wanted to make sure we understand the basic structure of how you would define your own function.